Hi everyone, welcome to Torah on Demand. I'm Rabbi Yael Ridberg. As the news unfolded about the horrific massacre at the Tops Friendly Market in Buffalo, New York, and the 10 beautiful lives brutally ended while grocery shopping, the reporting soon turned to the manifesto of the shooter and his hate-saturated words that preceded his violence. The act of terror was replete with the messaging of the Great Replacement Theory, which warns that people who are white, Christian, and conservative are at risk of being replaced by non-white, non-Christian, liberal people in America. This ideology is chilling and dangerous to society. Our biblical ancestors, however, sought to create a very different kind of civilization. Parashat Behar, this week's portion, while ostensibly a text that focuses on the pursuit of holiness through laws of land tenure, sabbatical, indenture, and indebtedness, contains 2 verses that specifically speak to the prohibition against harming another. The words lo tonu, do not harm, appear in 2 verses. And while the focus is on the transfer of property, Verse 14 reads, "When you sell property or buy from your neighbor, you shall not wrong one another." And verse 17 reads, "Do not wrong one another, but fear God, for I am your God." These rules specifically apply to real estate transactions, but later rabbinic authorities expand the scope of this meaning to include all commercial transactions. The repetition of the same phrase, however, begs the later commentary to apply and understand these words in a more global context. Rashi, the great 11th century commentator from France, explained that the first occurrence of the phrase indeed refers to commercial wrongs. However, he interprets the second use of the phrase not to money or possessions, but remarkably to feelings, and even more specifically to words. This may be a bit of a stretch, even for Rashi, but he draws his understanding from the Talmud, which while discussing both verses, concludes that the second use of the word tonu refers to injuring someone with words. The sages reflected that it is injurious to take advantage in any way of someone with your words. Ona'at devarim, injury through words, can be deeply damaging, despite the old maxim that only sticks and stones can do that. Of course, injurious words are what filled this manifesto, and every single such screed linked to mass shootings in the last 4 years, in El Paso, Texas, in Poway, San Diego, in Christchurch, in New Zealand, in Pittsburgh, and in Charlottesville. These terrorists are spouting vile, old ideas in new and devastating ways, and their desire to spread these ideas beyond their violent actions underscores the very reason the Bible includes what actions pursue holiness and which do not. Our ancient ancestors knew very well that thoughts lead to words and words lead to actions. Indeed, only a few verses before the exhortation not to harm anyone do we find Ukratem dror, proclaim liberty throughout the land, the verse that is inscribed on the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia. What better message can we use to remember those killed in Buffalo and in Laguna woods? Liberty can only be proclaimed when supremacist, racist, and anti-Semitic language and violence are banished forever. May the memories of those killed be a blessing. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.